If you're anything like me, then you're probably been fascinated about these two intersecting worlds, which is Australian property investment and this incredible technology around AI, which is why in today's video, Tim and I are going to sit down and look at how he's been using the likes of chat and other AI technologies over the last couple of years to make smarter and better quality investment decisions. So one of the coolest things that I think you've sent to me was the comparisons of one market versus the other. And that could be at a full-on macro level. It could be like a Brisbane versus Melbourne. Or it could be way more micro, sort of like Sunshine Coast versus Bundy region. Or it could be even more specific, like this particular suburb on the coast versus this particular suburb in North Queensland. So when you're physically coding it, how do you go about comparing one market versus the other?
What I would ask it is like, based on all the factors, I would type this, based on all the factors related to property investing, compare Hervey Bay to Bundaberg as an investment in 2026, let's say. And it'll break it all down and it will be on real-time data. And it'll essentially, and then it usually gives a recommendation at the bottom, which one's primed for growth sooner. So useful because it's actually usually right. I'll give it like an 80% accuracy.
And then you could say to it, based on interest rates sitting flat, interest rates going up 1%, interest rates coming down 1%.
Yeah.
And then could you also code in, please look at SQM research, Cotality, formerly CoreLogic, blah, 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 and just keep it being more and more refined in terms of its data sources?
Yeah, you can go down rabbit holes with it. So like, if like in this current environment, I could be like, if we get a double cut in early 2026.
So 2 interest rate cuts?
2 interest rate cuts, 0.5% down.
Bro, bring that on.
What would happen to these two markets and how would they respond? And it'll be like, oh, they'll go up. Instead of 10% growth, it might be like 16% because it's like adding cash to the pool. And yeah, you can ask it to research certain websites, maybe SQM or Cotality. Yeah, it's useful.
So one of the interesting things you mentioned off camera was, let's say you're looking to buy Melbourne or Brisbane or Perth this year, and you went to chat and you went, okay, Melbourne's top 50 suburbs, and you put in based on these websites and, you know, your own thing. Once it spits out those 50 suburbs, how much deeper do you go in chat versus actually analysing them out of that vehicle on your own?
To be honest, I usually analyse it outside of the vehicle first, then go on chat, and if it confirms what I'm thinking, then that's interesting. I feel like that's a little confirmation. I would say like ChatGPT would contribute 20% to my decision, maybe. But yeah, if I was saying like, if I was like fully starting from scratch and be like, I would search, give me the top 50 suburbs in Perth, Melbourne, Brisbane, and then give me a recommendation on which city is the best as well. And also, yeah, the top 50, I'd look at that and just, if there was the top 5, let's say in Brisbane, I'd be like, okay, explain why the top 5 should grow the highest. And then it would be like, there's infrastructure going in here. This council's approved of this sports park.
So, you know, if 20% of your decision making for your ultimate suburb or property type that you're going to buy is through that vehicle and it's more of a sanity check, then what else are you looking at personally outside of that as little tips and tricks that people can use to verify that they are looking at the right suburb for the right reasons?
The first thing I'd look at is the 18.6 year cycle. If we're in the second half or the first half's like the big cities like Sydney, Melbourne, they always grow the best. That's just how it goes. So I would just rely on that data and rely on it repeating. And right now we're in the second half, so that kind of runs from 2020 to like 2027, 8 or something like that. So that's when like Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, the smaller markets are doing really well. So that's the first thing I would do. And then the second thing I would do is probably look at the 5-year growth rates and see what's going on there. If it's really poor and we're about to move into the next phase of the cycle, that's like an opportunity. Or if I wanted short-term growth, next 2 years or something, I might buy in like Sunny Coast or Brisbane or something like that, get another 30% growth and then sell kind of thing. That's mainly what I look at. And also something else that I look at is if I was to buy a piece of land and build a house and then try and sell that house, what's it selling for? Is there a difference there? And if it's cheaper to build, that usually means this market is hot. If it's more expensive to build, it's like cool. Like for example, in Geelong or Melbourne, like you can build a brand new house, big 5-bed, 3-bath for like 900,000. But it would sell for only 700, which is ridiculous. But that's exactly what it was like in Adelaide before things took off in 2020. So that's just something I've learned over the years. Is there anything else that you'd look for outside of those things?
I think 18.6 year cycle first to know roughly where I should be buying based on historical timing. There's about 15 key performance indicators that I use. So I've got a spreadsheet that will be cool to show you, and it's every capital city in Australia, every regional market in Australia too that's large, every suburb within 60 k's, and then the 15 key performance indicators for every suburb. And I filter it in real time based on the most undervalued to the most overvalued suburb. And what I've found works outside of the 18 stuff is 10-year growth rates being well below their historical average. So for example, according to Cotality, in the last 30 years, Melbourne houses have done 517%, which is 17% averaged out per year or something insane like that. Insane like that. But if you and I were to go look at your 5-year, 8-year or 10-year growth rates, there are suburbs right now that are sitting between 2 and 6%. So if I can find somewhere that's averaged 9.5% a year for the last 50 years, but in the last 10 it's done 3, which was Adelaide, Perth and Brisbane in sort of 2020. It was Sydney and Melbourne back in 2011. Then statistically I know that that area is undervalued relative to past performance. And then I look at softer things like walk scores and vacancy rates and incomes and percentages of renters. And then I look at infrastructure and wages and schools and main roads. So obviously it can be phenomenal as a part of your figuring out strategy for which market or which suburb you're going to buy on. But I know you also use it for sort of cash flow analysis and portfolio analysis. So starting with cash flow analysis, what do you kind of mean about that?
So what I do with it is I'll put in my, I don't know, like let's put in a scenario, like let's say we're going to buy a house in Melbourne. I'll be like, I'm going to buy a $500,000 house, should rent for, $450, $500 a week. I'll say, do a full cash flow analysis and show me how much money I'll have after tax at a 32% tax rate, let's just say.
Do you have to input all of the income and expenses for that to work itself out?
No, it'll figure it all out based on averages. And you can change it later, but it's usually pretty accurate. It'll do like the council rates, the insurance costs, every other cost, property management, etc. But it gives you a good baseline to be like, am I going to lose money buying this house or am I going to make money, like cash flow wise?
I think that's, for me as an investor, having talked to so many investors over the years, like that's a powerful feature, because most of the time when people are showing me their cash flow analysis in their home spreadsheet, it's based on assumptions, not truth. Or it's, most of the time I find people artificially inflate the income and definitely reduce the costs or underestimate the true costs. All of us do. And the other thing that we'll do as investors is artificially float the potential sale price versus the cost base as well. But, you know, I suppose if it's factoring in rates, water, insurances, management, maintenance, land tax, and maybe some reno stuff over a 10-year period, like it's covering most of that. Do you ever look at it on the flip side for entry costs? So like stamp duty in a different state or something like that as well?
It can do that. It'll give you the exact number of stamp duty it'll be, because it would go through, let's say, the Victorian calculator and put it in. It'll give you like estimation of conveyancing costs, maybe $1,000 or something. And it'll give you like all the transfer registration fees as well. I don't really use that much because I just assume it'll be like 20, 30 grand or something like that, buying cost. One useful fact it does use is you can like be like, all right, this is 2026, it gives me minus 5 grand after tax. 2027, 2028, run me through a 5-year plan, assuming rent goes up 5% a year and costs only go up 3%, let's say. And then it will shoot it through and it assumes you're paying off your loan as well, which is interesting. And then if you want to take it a step further, you can be like, I'm going to put in 20 grand against this debt each year as well, which will reduce the cost, the interest cost. And then, you can figure out what you need to do to get it cash flow neutral or something like that.
Love that.
Yeah.
So you can see that like scheduled out or forecast out over future years and see when your break-even year is based on this scenario.
It'll put it in a table as much detail as you want.
That's cool, man. Like I've used a spreadsheet that I created years ago. It's literally forecasts out to my 100th birthday.
Oh yeah.
Like year by year cash flow, but this is just another interesting way to do it.
It's just quicker because you don't have to input as much stuff. You just have to ask it, and then it will assume a lot, which is usually correct. So it's quicker. It's quicker for like, oh, this house looks like it could be good. 5 minutes, run it all for me, instead of having to go in the spreadsheet and manually change it all. Yeah.
So you mentioned off camera as well, something around using it for portfolio analysis. So we're not talking about cash flow or potential future break-even points. What did you mean portfolio analysis?
So that's more interesting for me. It's like, let's say I've got 5 properties now. I could put it all in a portfolio and it can show me my overall cost, overall profit, overall equity, which is interesting. So if I sold everything, how much would it be left with?
Okay.
It shows you that if you ask it to show you that. It's like a genie,
Yes.
But what I find it more interesting is like, you can ask ChatGPT to save your 5 properties into the memory, and then just be like, it'll be like save memory. Then just be like, all right, if I sold this one and bought a new one, what would it look like after that? And because that gives you a scenario analysis.
So in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, in 15 years' time, would it be better to hold my place in Bundy, or would it be better to sell those and replace them with something in Melbourne or Geelong?
Genuinely, if you word it exactly like that, would it be better to do this or this? It can figure it out and make a recommendation which is accurate, I found.
And then when you get that information and go, okay, I've got these couple of crackers up here, versus maybe considering these down there, what weight, again, do you put on that before you go further into it yourself and want to sanity check that?
For the recommendation stuff, I find it pretty good. So I don't know, like it would be another sanity check. Like I'd obviously have to know what I'm going into in the new market and what I'm selling in the old market, but it would usually confirm what I was already thinking.
Okay.
And I'll be like, oh, sweet, it thinks that as well. Also, make sure when you type stuff in, they're very unbiased and say, in your unbiased opinion, specifically say that. So it doesn't use your chat history to be like, oh, he'd like this answer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You need it to be honest. So I always use that, and then it will just tell me what I don't want to hear sometimes,
But in terms of the other tips and tricks you've learnt, like using it as a, 50% broker, or using it for understanding when to buy or particularly sell a certain type of property, how have you used it for that?
So many interesting things you can ask it. Like me and a friend, like he was looking at doing a subdivision. So we're like, what are the council rules in the Fraser Coast Council, and would this be possible to subdivide this specific block? And we'll give the link to it. And it'll give you a full breakdown. This is the estimated cost. Fact check it with someone that actually knows, and it's bang on. I'm like, all right, this is so easy, because then you can do feasibilities quickly.
Yeah.
Another little thing that it can do is like, you can act like a broker. Like, with, for example, like a trust company structure is complicated to understand. And so I've like given it my full structure of my portfolio and said, hey, if I wanted to borrow more, how would I do it using all of your knowledge? And it would give me ideas. And then I'll talk to the broker, and the broker says, I've never tried that before. Let's give it a go. It's like, it knows a lot. And one of the other things is like, okay, I want to sell this property. When's the best time of the year to sell it in this state? And I'll be like, oh, you got to sell in spring. Always sell in spring because the demand's high, blah, blah. It'll give you the specific month of highest demand. It's like you're really optimizing little questions you've got.
It's really exciting, man. Like, I know this is the tip of the iceberg of some of the things you've sent me via text, but I'm super grateful that you just got onto it so early and you've been using it. As you said, like, it is not a silver bullet, and people certainly shouldn't rely on it. It's very, very, very interesting. So I think there's a place for it, and I think as it gets more sophisticated with better inputs, one of my concerns at the moment is it's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And so if you're not coding it or not putting in the right input, or it's not accessing the right information, a lot of the best information in property that I find sits behind a firewall, which I'm not sure if it's accessing what's behind the scenes of SQM
Probably
or
not.
Cotality or the major banks. But if that really high quality data can go in, then I think it's going to be a big piece of like the investment puzzle in the future, making more Australians make better decisions easier, which is really cool, like what it's all about. G'day guys, my name's Ben and I'm the director here at Pumped on Property, and I just wanted to say a massive thank you for watching our content today. Now, if you're thinking about buying an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then the team and I would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. In that session, we can talk about exactly where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can deeply educate you on the Australian market. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each week. To book your session, all you have to do is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com and click that book your free strategy session button. But either way, we wish you all the best on your journey as an investor to financial freedom. Which is why in today's video, Tim and I are gonna sit down.
sorry.
It's so hard to get this intro out. Welcome to the real world of short format stuff at Pump Day.
All right, let's go.
Thank gosh, Sam is here. Which is why in today's video, Tim... Fuck. Oh, shit. This is basically me and Simon, man. Like, every video, eh?
Sam, just do it. Alright, this one.
Cool.